it's not final mounted yet. And I'll show you something. So last season, talking to some people, this race car stuff, we were told that by mid-mounting the engine, you might be able to move some weight back. It'll affect your front and rear percentage. So we thought we'd try that. We made some mid-mounts that kind of mount up with the bell housing bolts and remounted the engine that way. It didn't work. It didn't change anything. But it was worth a try. Not everything you try is gonna work. The thing that kind of sucks is we went a little crazy, and I don't know if you remember when I started filming videos. If you haven't seen it, I spent an entire winter redoing just the front end of the car, which included new engine mounts. Well, we undid those engine mounts, and we had placed just some pads on both sides, so it gave it something to rest to, but they were just kind of floating. So I'm going to re-examine these. We're gonna make these mounts solid. They're not nearly as pretty as the original ones I made were, and I'll probably do away with these. I'm worried that it's gonna do too much stress to the bell housing, and they're not doing us anything, and they're making it a little bit more difficult to put the engine in. So, but it's progress. You'll never know if you don't try. You ever just have one of those days? That's what it's been for me, for the most part, today. That should hopefully change within the hour. Tonight is the night we're gonna start this thing for the first time again. Or so I hope. A couple things left to button up, but I'll show you what I've got done to this point. Anyways, so clearly the engine's been installed since the last time you've seen it. Everything is plumbed in. We got water in the system. We got oil in the system. Carburetor's on, header's on. Wiring's done. Had to do a lot of rewiring, but we're all good. Wiring harness is done. This is the oil pressure manifold type deal. I am still missing the oil cooler, so hopefully that shows up before the race starts, but I'm probably not even gonna worry about it at this point. My remote filter is mounted. I got an oil pressure gauge to view while we're working on the engine. Everything else is done. New fuel lines, wiring harness is all back in and buttoned up nice and tidy. Everything in here looks really good. As we move inside the car, I ended up putting a new fuse block in, and I just kind of tried to fix some of the wiring as I added stuff over the recent times. I'd just be piggybacking. I had a 4-bank in there, and I've actually filled up a 10-bank fuse block now. New relay for the water pump motor, and then just isolated a few other things. Moving into the dash, everything's wired up. So I got my new switch for the water pump. I got a dummy light for the oil pressure, but I think I got it wired wrong because the light only comes on when there's oil pressure. So I gotta figure that one out, or change the sending unit. One of the last things left is the throttle return spring. I had something worked up with these existing springs originally, but I couldn't remember how it was. So I had to kind of reinvent it, and now my springs are a little too long. So I'm going to do the old spring chop and try again. Last thing I got left to do is button up the clamp on the collector, and the exhaust is tied in. And it's fuel and fire, baby. All right, we're outside. Everything's powered up. First thing I'm gonna do is bump it with the starter and no ignition. see what we get for oil pressure again on the starter. Then I will prime the fuel system, check for leaks. Then, if I eyeballed my timing well enough on the distributor, we should be able to fire it. Let's see if I need the battery charger. I think I got the distributor in backwards. It's a new day. Can't say it's been any better, but it's a new day. Was struggling getting the timing figured out on this thing. I think I'm close, so I'm just gonna keep cranking on it until it fires. It's gotta fire soon. Oh, she'll go now. I'm gonna move it outside. Seems to be running really rich right now. I'm gonna have to do some carb adjustments. I'm gonna do a little bit of adjustment to the belt setup. Then maybe do a couple laps around the yard as it's getting up to temperature. And one downside to the great button that I talked about is if the battery's no good, it doesn't always get started for you. Dead. Well, it looks like I'm buying a battery. That's a positive in what's been a hectic couple days around my house. Anyways, I'm gonna run it through a couple heat cycles here before I gotta get Lucas out to lacrosse for the night. And I'll probably recheck the valves. I gotta get a battery, and then I think we're ready to go maybe for a quick rip. Ready for the weekend. Today's Tuesday. I got Pops coming over on Thursday. We're gonna get the car on the scales. We're gonna get everything all set up and ready to go. Friday, we plan to be heading to the track. Saturday, Sunday, we plan to be on the track. So hopefully everything works out. Hope you guys are staying safe. Take care.